spend on Purdy's new deal. Brew? Nick, do you want to go and rip the 49ers?
No, I'm not ripping them. I want to give them credit.
That they're freeing up money for your guy.
Well, I don't think it's just for him. Reportedly, in that same article, Kawakami said both sides are being reasonable. He said neither side is trying to, be heavy-handed. I don't think Purdy's going to get $60 million. To answer your question, is the window closed? Is that the question? I don't think they enter next season like near the top of the Super Bowl contender list.
Not even favorites in their own division, I wouldn't think.
No, the Rams will probably get. I think, though, they'll be playoff contenders, and I think they'll have a good shot to make the playoffs. They obviously lost some guys. Dre Greenlaw, I love Dre Greenlaw. Maybe they got a Super Bowl if Dre Greenlaw doesn't get hurt. But he's hurt he's missed basically half of the last 4 seasons, two, and then some of the Debo is right. Hufungo's been hurt. I think he's missed. Yeah, he's been hurt the last 2 years for a lot of the games, and they did draft. They got to draft well. They drafted well last year. I think they had 4 starters from last year, and this year they got a lot of picks. They're going to have to draft well. I think they'll settle in with Purdy. I think it'll be between that 45 and 50. Yeah. And I think they'll be fine. I mean, again, I don't think they're starting at the top next year, but I think they'll be playoff contenders.
Yeah, their window isn't closed, but it's definitely closing. Like, I've been on teams where we understood we had to strike because we had a period of time where we were going to all be together. Well, that's no longer the case for this group of guys, as we mentioned the names that are gone. But I think because of all these injuries and what they didn't have last year, a lot of these guys that departed last year missed last year, basically. Yeah. So including a guy who they're going to rely heavily on, and Christian McCaffrey. If he gets back to being the version of which we saw a couple years ago, and Purdy is that version of which we saw a couple years ago, this team will be just fine. I think they make the playoffs. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs. And a part of their makeup is not just the players, it's the coach, too. And adding Robert Saleh back on that sideline defensively is a big addition. But what Kyle is able to do is, and particularly within that division, when his guys are healthy, he's able to win a lot of games. So I believe that they'll be just fine. Their window isn't closed, but it's definitely closing.
With this group, it's closed. Not with necessarily this coach or this quarterback, but this core. And so Hubs just told me I hear they are the Vegas favorites in their division. I think that's a mistake. I think the Rams are a better team than them. And I think that they currently have $68 million in dead money on next year because of these moves they've made. So a team like that this year made a conference championship game, the Buffalo Bills. I think it would be ridiculous to ask Brock to do what Josh did, which is, hey, we're cleaning up the books this year. You're going to we're going to have holes on the roster. We're going to need you to carry us. He's not, in my eyes, that caliber of player, and I think that's not a. I don't think anyone should even view that as an indictment. There's only really a couple guys in the league that are that caliber or better than Josh Allen. It would be kind of ridiculous for this team not to have missed its window. They've been a A-list preseason Super Bowl favorite or second favorite 5 of the last 6 years, basically. They have been to 2 Super Bowls. They've been to 2 other conference championship games. 2 years ago, they pushed their chips to the middle of the table, and when they didn't want Bosa to hold out, so even though the top-paid defender in the league at that point in time made $29 million, he got $34 million a year. McCaffrey was awesome after his first year. When the top-paid running back in the league was at like $13 million, they gave him $19 million a year. Then last year, we're so close. Trent Williams is a 37-year-old tackle. They don't want him to miss games. They're like, fine, we'll guarantee you money for 2 more years. Brandon Ayuk, even though we paid Debo and drafted a wide receiver in round 1, fine, we'll give you top-of-the-market money. They did all these things to win right now, and they didn't win. And in their final year that they could have contended, everybody got hurt. Like, I just think it would be ridiculous to think, like, oh, yeah, their running back's old for his position. Juszczyk was super valuable for what Kyle likes to do. He's gone. Debo was super. All their kind of chess piece type guys are gone. And a lot of their best players are old or coming off injury. Like, this is a reset moment for them.
I'm not see, this is where I differ. Obviously, Brock Purdy's not Josh Allen. But Josh Allen didn't have Christian McCaffrey. And I think what they're going to do, Garindo, who was a rookie last year, played well. Yeah, and Jordan Mason. I just think that they will, if they keep Mason, they will. McCaffrey, I don't think will be used as much as he was in 2 years ago. He'll still be the feature guy, obviously, but I think they'll want to in an effort to keep him healthy, those other guys will get some carries too. And their run game is always strong. It'll be strong. And Nick, obviously they still, assuming everything's fine with Ayuk, they expect Pearsall to pick it up. Kittle will still be there. So they should be able to score points. And I think, Nick, you mentioned Salah. I think they're also looking at it like these young guys that played more last year, in part because of the injuries, that last year they took their lumps. It was your welcome to the NFL moment. And this year we expect them to be better because of it. So I think, I don't think they're a top-tier Super Bowl contender, but I bet you their thinking is that they're going to make the playoffs and then have a shot.
Yeah, they have to believe that. Like, they will not go into this season feeling as though they're second to the Rams or even whatever the Cardinals end up doing and what we're seeing the Seattle Seahawks do. Like, they're not going to go in there thinking they're inferior. Like, that's not how it works. Brock Purdy believes that he can get it done. They clearly are going to pay him because they're clearing out all these guys. My issue is the one guy that you mentioned that I didn't is Trent. Like, because Trent missed a lot of time last year as well.
And a lot of people say they had the best backup left tackle in football, and he's gone now. I mean, he's gone. I mean, that was a good safety blanket that they had there all along.
He was the one issue, or not issue, he was the one staple on that offensive line that they never had to worry about. And now you kind of question that just because of age and injury and things like that. So we'll see how it looks this year. But I'm not out on him.
You like him.
Well, he was
right last year.
Because you didn't like him last year. You didn't like the injuries, fourth-place schedule. You you got a little, like, Mr. Continuity vibe to you. Salah's back.
Yeah.
Can I give a way down the road prediction?
Sure.
So, because I know you think we are maybe sometimes too high on Kyle Shanahan. There's a lot of Kyle Shanahan that reminds me of Andy Reid. And Andy Reid's career arc got to Philly as a young offensive mastermind, immediately, not as quickly as Kyle did, contended, and that opening half decade was their window of his whole time in Philadelphia. They got to one more conference championship game after. They made 4 conference championship games in 4 years, made a Super Bowl, never quite got over the hump. He ended up having to go somewhere else and then flourished. I could just see something similar where in 4 years we look at it and like, man, everybody knows he's a great coach, but it never was as good as it first happened. Now, could that be around the same time Andy Reid's retiring and he could actually follow in
I was going to say, is he going to get the boat?
I mean, listen, again, only time will tell. But I think that is – I don't think it's going to get much better than it was for Kyle these first 5 years in San Francisco. It'd be hard to. The best team in the conference without winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. Seems like all these moves really show me that the 49ers believe in Brock Purdy.